What am I playing against? Vi? Ew, she's gonna ult me. Pain. Gross. What am I building? They're squishy for the most part again. We also have a lot of magic damage, so yeah, I guess I could crit. I'm the only ADC. How about both? To be fair, I play League of Legends, so I belong in an asylum, so you're not wrong. I could have done a chicken square since I'm against Vi. Oh well. Please don't die early, Swain. Please don't. Well, to be fair, I did say Swain, and that's okay. How did he get in the jungle and not by their turret? I don't know, but it's okay. It's okay. I probably could have ran down there, maybe gotten one, but they didn't ping flash, so maybe not. Alright though, happens. Wait, isn't their bard like hard griefing? Didn't he just trigger the lane swap thing? Didn't he just trigger the lane swap mechanic? Oh, I mean, it just fell off now since 3 minutes in the game, but wasn't he hard griefing going mid there? Oh, there's a mark. Oh. Oh no. Oh no. Oh my god. Ah, I thought we were gonna keep going. Oh no. Oh god, he's giving up already too. We got a main character syndrome Renekton. Oh no. I don't know if this is awarded. Might be. Not gonna follow that, I'll die. This should mark here though. Be kind of cool. Come on. Oh, never mind. The chickens are alive. I thought she would have killed her chickens. My bad. What do I recommend building this patch? Pretty much the same as always. Trinity Force first item is still better than Kraken if you're like in solo queue because of the damage and things. And the only thing Kraken really beats Trinity in is mainly out of combat movement speed. But then after that, like, if you need to be the main carry or you trust yourself to be the main carry, crit is better than on hit. And if you need survivability or your team has a lot of like crit champs already, like say you have a Yone mid and a normal ADC, then on hit can be good. But yeah, pretty much that. And if you're going on hit, pretty much if your team has 3 AD champs, aka you and 2 other AD champs, you can go Cleaver second after Trinity for obviously the pen for everybody, and Cleaver's really good on Kindred. If you're going on hit and your team doesn't have a lot of AD, then you can go Terminus second too. Or if you're like you just want magic damage, Terminus is also good because Terminus gives you almost as much on hit magic damage as Wits does. Oh god, my team's just baby raging. Yeah, that's if you're going on hit. Like, pretty much, if you're going on hit, most games I would suggest going Trinity, Cleaver, and then Wits for the most part. Unless they don't have CC or magic damage, then you can do like Bork third. And if you're going crit, then Trinity Collector, IE and stuff is good, or Trinity Collector, LDR. The only really other build that most people should do is if they have a shit ton of shielding, instead of going Collector, go Serpent's Fang, because Serpent's Fang is cheaper, gives you more AD and more lethality, and it's really good against shields. Like this game, for example, if you really wanted to, 3 people, or actually 4 people on their team have shields, you could go Serpent second and get a good amount of value out of it. Plus, they're going to get like Sterox and things on her. Yeah, mainly I would suggest if you're going to play Kindred, though, going most games in solo queue, especially crit's probably the way to go right now, just because on hit does less damage, and a lot of times it's really hard to trust teammates in solo queue. I would definitely say crit's more the way to go now than not. Yeah, more info than 15-minute tutorials. Yeah, a lot of times, a lot of tutorials and things are just mainly there to be quick pay. Like, if you want a good, like, challenger Kindred player to learn from, like, Kirei, I think is how you say his name. I don't know if you've ever seen his videos or something. He made a Kindred guide at the end of last season. Kirei is really good at Kindred, and he's, like, he can actually teach people to play pretty well. Kirei is really, like, probably one of the best Kindreds around who, like, streams and makes content. I don't think he only plays Kindred, though. I think he plays a lot of other champs, but he's pretty good at it. And then, yeah, for the most part, a lot of Kindred players don't really like to look at item stats and like practice and like, you know, pay attention to what items are good. And it's like, yeah, for the right now, for example, like the reason a lot of people go Kraken first item on Kindred and they suffer for it is Kraken just always does pretty much less damage than Trinity nowadays. The only time Kraken will ever out damage Trinity is like early to mid game if the enemy is missing like 90% of their health. And a lot of people just, then you have no HP early on and you have a weaker item early on, and a lot of people lose and get snowballed on early game because they build to have no early game damage.
Life reaches its conclusion. Smell their fear.
Yeah, Sheen is like Kinder's best friend too, which is one reason why Trinity is so good, because Sheen's 900 gold, your first clear, if you full clear, gives you 900 gold plus get a crab. And like every time you queue, you get a Sheen proc. Sheen is like Kinder's best friend right now. This item is so good on Kindred. And then Trinity is obviously even better. Fun fact too is Kindred's base AD is high enough to the point where Trinity for like champions like Kindred outdamages some melee champs. Kindred's base AD is so high that like Trinity is better on Kindred than it is on like Viego, for example, which is kind of funny.
Let us grant us the most
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Okay, he's gonna get a good amount of tower damage done at least. I don't think he'll get first blood turret bot lane.
If it draws breath,
If your team's mostly AD, you can still, even if your team's mostly AD, you can still go crit, but the real, like, I wouldn't do crit if you have, like, 2 other crit users. So, like, again, if you have, like, a Yone mid or, like, a Garen top and then a normal ADC who's building crit, I wouldn't go crit if they have tanky people, because then they can just get Randuins and Tabby and things, and you lose a lot of damage, and I personally would rather get, like, Cleaver and play around my team, but you can. But yeah, like, if you're really just trying to focus tanky people, on-hit's better for focusing tanky people.
beauty fades.
But it really just depends, because right now in Season 15, Kindred's best playstyle is to focus the squishies and let your teammates focus tanks, unless you have nobody who's good at dealing with tanks on your team. Like, the best way to play is to focus the squishies, but if you are gonna, like, if you mainly need to be a tank shredder, and your teammates have other, like, assassins and things, you can just, like, build, like, Trinity, Terminus, Wits, like, stuff like that, because Terminus and Wits give you a lot of magic damage on a champion who does mostly physical damage. Plus it gives you pen and things. So yeah, like, you could do stuff like that, but if you're really trying to focus tanks, then yeah, like Trinity, like Terminus or Cleaver, depending on whichever one matches your team and your game better, and then third item, either go like Wits, or if they're like a Heartsteel tank, go Bork, because Bork is still okay against stacking HP if they don't have a lot of armor. But yeah, it's mainly stuff like that. But the best thing you could really realistically do is just hope that your teammates can handle the tanks and kill the squishies if you don't have assassins or things. Because on-hit items got nerfed a lot this season and last season. Well, that's not the good play we needed to see. Got it. Got the objective bounties done. We got the bounties done in general. Let's go.
Shut down.
Yeah, also let me link you to Kyrie's videos in case you guys haven't seen Kyrie's like Kindred guide. I hope I'm saying his name right. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but we all know I'm really bad at reading names anyways. Okay, yeah. There's his video. He's very good at jungle and things.
Rampage. Your team has destroyed a turret.
Also, main thing too is if like I don't know how new you are to Kindred and stuff, but main thing too is don't int the game to go chase marks and stuff. Marks are nice, but most of your damage comes from items and having gold. Like, yeah, getting the extra range is cool, but giving the enemy team shutdowns or like hundreds upon hundreds of gold and like and getting snowballed on is not gonna be worth it just for a little bit of extra range and things. Like, get marks if you're confident that you can get them or it's safe, but don't int the game for marks. It's not worth it. So many people lose the game because they run for every mark in the jungle and they just keep getting collapsed on and dying. And they give up like 1,000 gold to the enemy and then they're like, wow, the enemy team's too strong. And it's like, yeah, you kind of killed yourself for a mark. Most of your damage comes from items and just having gold.
There are so many ways to die.
People have like this idea that it's still season 6 when Kindred had their old passive, when like all of Kindred's damage came from marks, but it's not season 6 anymore, so yeah, Kindred doesn't have that passive anymore. So I'm trying to think if there's any other tips that can help people. Is 3 camp invade still decent? It's still decent, but the reason I don't really do it is because if you 3-camp invade and you don't get any camps, or you get collapsed on, or you don't get any, like the enemy cleared on that side of the map and you don't get anything, you end up losing so much XP versus getting level 4 from your first clear and getting the gold for Sheen, and then your back timing gets weird. Plus on top of it, like if you do fall behind with all the objective spam now, it's a lot harder to fight for the objectives and the feats now if you fall behind early on and don't get them. And it just feels like a lot of times, while you might get some advantage, a lot of times it feels like you're gambling for a very small chance of getting anything in return. And for me personally, I'd rather just get the guaranteed Sheen back and stuff and go for the objectives, and that way hopefully teammates don't tilt because of feats and things. It's like, Kindred can duel really well at level 3, but if you don't get anything, and then you're like a level or 2 behind, and then Kindred not being the fastest farmer in the game, and then you also don't get the objectives, a lot of times it just feels really bad. Also, here's another random tip if you like haven't tried Trinity and stuff on Kindred. So Sheen damage doesn't get applied until it hits the target, not like right when you shoot it. So like if you fire an auto from max range and then Q while the auto's in the air, it still applies the Sheen damage even if you Q'd after you auto, because the Sheen goes off when it hits something. So like if you Q slightly on cooldown and they're running away, you can auto and then Q and still get the full Sheen damage too. For like a quick trade or just a quick little final burst. That's like one thing with Sheen that a lot of people don't do.
Only to find us sooner.
Really good for quick trades and quick burst damage. How much damage does our Kraken do? 132 up to 194. Yeah, my Sheen pretty much does the max amount of damage that Kraken can do right now at the same level. But it doesn't start with 60 less damage and it gets procs more often. I miss when Kraken was a good item. I really do. Oh, I ran into that. I shouldn't dive that. That would be dumb. There's a dragon alive. I'm not paying attention. I guess the only other thing, like, realistically is, do you, like, how, if you're not, I don't know how new you are to Kindred again, but if you're, like, super new to Kindred or anything, do you know how the marks, like, spawn and, like, how to manipulate them and things?
More lie ahead, dear wolf.
Kind of forgot. So pretty much the only mark that is like actually RNG is the first mark, because it can only spawn on a scuttle and 2 scuttles spawn at once. So that's the only mark that's like full on RNG that can't be manipulated. But after that, your marks spawn in tiers and they only spawn in the enemy jungle. So if you eliminate the options that can be marked, you can force the marks to spawn where you want. So like just please don't kill yourself, Renekton. Just for example, so, like, right now, I have 5 marks, which means the only thing that can be marked is the enemy red buff, blue buff, the wolves, and the Krugs. And since the Vi was topside, we know both of her buffs are dead right now, and her wolves, I'm pretty sure we just saw, were alive. Odds are the next place that the mark is going to be, as long as the Krugs are dead, is over here on the wolves, because there's only one thing that can be spawned. So once you know what can be marked and, like, where, see, there's the wolf mark right there, you can force them to spawn wherever you want, because they only spawn in the enemy jungle, and there's only one thing alive in the tier that can be marked. And then, like, next, obviously, it would be the red buff that's spawning that could be marked as long as the Krugs are dead. And you just, like, once you know the tiers, you can kind of force marks to spawn like that. As long as you know what's alive and what's dead in the enemy jungle. Like, the next mark, as long as Krugs are dead, the next mark will spawn on red. If Krugs are alive, then obviously the Krugs could mark, but I don't think the Krugs are alive because she was topside, so she should, keyword should, have killed the Krugs, but she's kind of weird. I don't know what her clear really is. But the red should be marking here in a few seconds. Yep, see there's the red mark.
Hunted, dear wolf.
Then the only other real things to Kindred are just like wall hops and stuff. Like you can just do basic stuff like this, which most people don't know is you can hop like the thicker walls like that.
Your turret has been destroyed. An enemy has been slain.
Now, sorry, you can full clear if mark would be on blue. Yep, if I took that and then I were to back and then that was the only thing alive, if as long as Krugs were dead, then the next mark would be blue. But yeah, realistically I should be able to clear a reset and then the blue would mark if it was still up. But she's kind of weird with her clearing, so who knows what she's doing. Like I think she might just run bot side and go chase the kill. But yeah, like in like 30 seconds the blue will mark if it's still up, then most likely again it won't be up.
An ally has been slain.
Hello, bye. How you doing? I really should spend my gold because I shouldn't. Like this fight realistically shouldn't be even remotely close, but I haven't spent my gold in a while. Yeah, again, the only other real thing is just like wall hops like these that people don't know you can do. You can do a lot of like thicker wall hops. The more you practice them, the better it gets.
Has destroyed a turret.
The wolves just respawned, so it's 50-50 over there now, which can mark. Since both of them are alive, but yep, there's the blue mark. I think I'll help her. Maybe.
Your turret has been destroyed. Killing spree. An enemy has been slain.
Might as well just grab that since I have the money for it. Actually, need 625 for that. We'll see. They do have a good amount of shielding though. Yeah, like Eclipse, she's gonna get Starrock. She has a built-in shield. He has a built-in shield. Plus, he's got his W to shield more. Lux has got shielding. Her ult shields her. They got a good amount of shielding. And you can do the reverse of this too if you do that. There's a lot of like small mechanics that you learn when you one-trick a champ that do stuff like that most people just don't know about. And this is the last mark I can get in the normal jungle, and then any mark after this I can only get from champions or from like red buff and blue buff and stuff. Or not red buff and blue buff, dragon and baron and stuff. I say red buff and blue buff. My brain works. I can think.
Enemy has been slain.
Those who dread us grant us the most power.
Double kill. An ally has been slain. Killing spree.
Here we go, Baron. Come, 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 come. If they're not forfeiting, let's just get Baron, get the gold, and then push an end. I need Sona to tank it. Just because if Sona tanks it, I do more damage. Yes, tank it, Sona. There you go. Let me do full damage. Again, for anybody who might be new to jungle and things, yeah, you do 50% less damage if you're the one tanking Baron. Just heads up to that. Same thing with Herald. You do half damage if you're tanking.
Wolf was sure to follow.
Somebody's in there. I don't know who that was. I think it was... No, it wasn't Volley. Must have been Bard then. Yep, that was Bard. Damn, he didn't die. Dead. She might die. And burn, please. No, no. The red buff's not enough to burn either. She's probably shielded. Dead. Shield. I keep getting him so low, but I can't finish the kills right now. I could have flashed to finish it there if I really wanted to. The best to go PTA? Yeah, for the most part now. Conqueror used to be okay on Kindred, but ever since they changed PTA last season to where now you just get the full damage amp on everybody as long as you proc it once in a fight, you're pretty much just gonna always just... Oh, wow. I got bursted hard as hell there. Yeah. Like, Conqueror used to be... You could still do Conqueror for healing if they're like a really tanky team that you're gonna kite. But realistically, the reason people used to take Conqueror is you used to be able to do short trades and get AD per stack and swap targets in fights. But they reworked PTA last season, so now once you proc PTA, you just get the full damage amp for the entire fight until you're out of combat. So you can swap targets with PTA now, so you're just pretty much better off just taking PTA most times now. Because Conqueror lost its niche of you being able to swap targets and things. Now it only offers some healing if you fully stack it, versus PTA you just get the same, like roughly the same if not more damage. And you can change targets. And then lethal tempo just takes too long to stack and do damage, which sucks. It only gives you like 28% attack speed now, and then it takes too long to stack, which is just, yeah, you have to auto 6 times to fully stack it for 28% attack speed, and then you finally get damage, but autoing 6 times to get damage out of your keystone is a little bit of a long time in the league. Versus just autoing like 3 times and then getting a damage amp against everybody on their team. And getting an extra burst because once PTA goes off, it also bursts too. Oh, that worked out. 11 and 3, not bad, not bad. We take those. What about runes? Let's see runes over here. Yeah, there's my runes. Also for runes, if you go PTA and crit too, you don't have to take the sudden impact Relentless Hunter. I just take Relentless Hunter because I like out of combat movement speed. You can also go secondary though. You can go free boots and either Cosmic if you want more smites, or you can also do Jack of Trades on Kindred because you get a lot of stats if you do Jack of Trades and you go Trinity, and then you get the lethality stat from obviously Collector, and then you can do a Zeal item too for more stats for like the percent movement speed and stuff. It's not worth it. No, because even with even with on hit, you only get 28% attack speed now from lethal tempo, and yeah, the damage can be cool, but you throw away like all of your early game with lethal tempo. You lose so much damage early game, and 28% attack speed is just really not much compared to like just without like other things you could do. And because like mostly if you're playing a champ like Kindred, you want to be able to fight some early to mid game, and you don't want to be really weaker early to mid game because then you just make yourself a really easy invade target. And you really want to snowball when you're playing a champ like Kindred. It's kind of like playing like E or something. When you play a carry jungler like that, that's squishier. You kind of want to snowball and have damage. And you don't really want to just gamble on hoping that you can get the late game and have nothing.